what's up, everybody? This is Fred Ricciani of TSC News here to review WWE TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2010 with TLC 2015 around the corner. We are reviewing every single TLC pay-per-view in existence. I just reviewed TLC 2009. Here we are with TLC 2010. And going back and watching these shows on WWE Network, which, I kind of regret as I go through the more recent TLCs. If there's one constant theme I've noticed, it's that, man, these cards are filled with what-ifs in professional wrestling. Rising young superstars who, for whatever reason, politics, injuries, etc., just could not get to that next level, even though at the time it looked like they eventually will. In 2009, we had matches with Drew McIntyre. We had matches with John Morrison. Sheamus won the WWE Championship. And obviously, all three of these men never rose up to a certain level. Granted, Sheamus, at the time I'm recording this, is somehow the WWE World Champion, but he's nowhere near as over as his push. John Morrison's not even with the company anymore. And Drew McIntyre, same thing. Drew Galloway, not with the company anymore, although he's reinvented himself on the indies. And this card was actually headlined by John Cena versus Wade Barrett in a non-title chairs match. Neither man was a champion at the time, and this was the culmination of the awful Nexus angle back in 2010. Started off great. It was essentially all the NXT rookies from NXT Season 1 when they had that kind of tough enough fake reality show format back in the day. They attacked, I believe it was July 2010, maybe it was June 2010. They interfered in a match, beat the hell out of John Cena, beat the hell out of the announcers, tore apart the ring. They were essentially outsiders, invaders, and it was awesome for the first couple months, and it built up to a big match at SummerSlam. It was Team Cena against Team Nexus, and the Nexus, in their first official WWE match, lost. And it was horrible. Made no sense whatsoever, especially because this feud continued for another 4 months after that. So, fast forward to September. After that SummerSlam, it was Night of Champions 2010. And it was, I think, a 6-man type of deal, like 6-pack challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. Wade Barrett was rumored to win the title. It would have made sense for him to win the title. I mean, he was a top heel at the time with the top faction and the top angle. And instead, Randy Orton randomly won the title. So that was a little weird. Then we got to, I think it was bragging rights, where Wade Barrett took on Randy Orton again. And he lost he won via DQ because I think Cena slapped him or something, or hit him or what have you. Then we got to Survivor Series, and John Cena cost Wade Barrett the WWE Championship and was fired. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I skipped the pay-per-view. They had Hell in a Cell as well that October of that year, and John Cena lost to Wade Barrett via a lot of tomfoolery and interference, but still. So John Cena was part of the Nexus. And then the next pay-per-view, Cena was the special ref for Orton versus Barrett. You following me here? And if John Cena didn't help Wade Barrett win, he'd be fired. He'd be gone for good. So what did John Cena do? He helped Randy Orton. Wade Barrett lost. And John Cena was fired. Let me take a sip of water here because this is going to get a little complicated. So you see, John Cena was fired in storyline, but he missed not one night of TV. So the next night on Raw, he bought a ticket, he appeared in the crowd, and, well, it set the stage for this match, a chairs match between Barrett and Cena. Why Wade Barrett didn't win the world title over that span of 4 or 5 months I just recapped, I really don't know. But I'll tell you this, he never got back to that level. And the end of the match was essentially, I guess it's the story of Wade Barrett's career. Looking good, and then gets absolutely buried. And in this match, he was literally buried under a pile of chairs and lost to John Cena. This was essentially a mid-card match in a main event slot. Not that great. Wade Barrett was still relatively green at this time, although he later got a lot better, and I think any wrestling fans that currently watch the product now know he unfortunately hasn't come close to that main event level in God knows how long, maybe since 2011. Just a damn shame, a total waste of talent. But hey, he's got a job. He's on TV every week. He's drawing a paycheck. I guess if you're Wade Barrett, that's all you can ask for at this point, right? We had in the co-main event, Edge defeating World Heavyweight Champion Kane, Rey Mysterio, Alberto Del Rio in a fatal four-way tables, ladders, and chairs match. This match had no business being any good, and it was a bit of a train wreck, but it was pretty good given who was involved. Now, Rey Mysterio and Del Rio can certainly work, as can Edge. Kane is a hit or miss, but 3 out of the 4 guys are pretty good, so it worked here. Edge captured the world title, although the feud leading up to this match was absolutely, positively horrible. It featured Edge kidnapping Paul Bearer. And constantly dragging him around, and Kane having to save Paul Bearer, and them trying to torture each other. I think it even won Worst Feud of the Year in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It was horrible, but thankfully, mercifully, it ended with this win for Edge. We had The Miz beating Randy Orton in a tables match to retain the WWE Championship. This match sucked. Essentially, Miz got put through a table, but the ref didn't see it. Alex Riley, who was Miz's flunky at the time, interfered, attacked Randy Orton, and then Miz, while the ref was down, put the broken table pieces right next to Randy Orton. So the ref woke up, saw the broken table pieces, saw Randy Orton, and rang the bell. Yeah, that was horrible, and people wonder why nobody to this day takes Miz seriously after that improbable WWE title run. And I should note he did end up cashing in on Randy Orton a month before, the night after Survivor Series 2010. And I should also note that Edge, this would be the last time Edge would be on a TLC pay-per-view because, well, unfortunately he retired about 4 or 5 months later due to neck injuries, spinal stenosis. Kind of sad, but had a great career and doing very well for himself now in the acting world. We had John Morrison defeat King Sheamus. Sheamus coming off the heels of winning King of the Ring and becoming a complete joke after being a 2-time WWE champion. He lost to John Morrison here in a ladder match to determine the #1 contender for the WWE title. Really good match, given who was involved. And it was a little unfortunate that John Morrison got his title shot because he got it on Raw. And it was a really good Raw match, if I recall correctly, with The Miz that he lost. But man, this would have been a great opportunity to give him a main event slot at Royal Rumble 2011. It's not like he would have been, the main event. He would have been, the co-main event, behind the Royal Rumble match. But instead, they chose to do it on a free Raw, which I thought was kind of a missed opportunity. And, well, he kind of just slipped down the totem pole and ended up leaving WWE. Doing all right for himself right now with Lucha Underground. Has had a few acting gigs, but it would have been nice to see him come back and finish what he started in WWE. Maybe he still can. We had Santino Marella and Vladimir Kozlov, who were the tag team champions at the time, defeat the Nexus, which was Heath, Slater, and Justin Gabriel, via DQ. This match sucked and just shows how far the Nexus had fallen. And believe me, they were going to keep falling after this. And Justin Gabriel, no longer with the company, was barely used. He quit abruptly. Heath Slater, I guess he's lucky to have a job. Natalya and Beth Phoenix, the Glamazons, defeated Layla and Michelle McCool in a tag team Divas table match. It involved pink tables. It was all right. And we had Dolph Ziggler successfully defend the IC title against Kofi Kingston and Jack Swagger in a triple threat ladder match. This was all right, but way too short. It was less than 10 minutes. Dolph Ziggler grabbed the belt in a fluky fashion. Yeah, not that great. Given who was involved, not that great. And a trivia note, the dark match was Daniel Bryan defending the U.S. title against Ted DiBiase. How back in 2010 they couldn't find time for the U.S. champion to defend his title on the pay-per-view is beyond me. But, that kind of shows just the treatment of Daniel Bryan, story of his career. Guy gets over. Let's minimize him. Guy gets to be on the World Series parade with the Giants and does the whole yes thing with them. Barely gets covered in WWE. Quite unfortunate. And for those wondering, this took place December 19th, 2010, once again in Texas at the Toyota Center in Houston. But folks, I'm going to get on out of here. I want to hear from you. Were you in attendance for TLC 2010? Did you order TLC 2010 back in the day? Did you watch it on the network? Are you interested in watching it on the network? Let me know. Leave a comment below. Tweet us. Facebook us. Do what you got to do. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. Please share this with all your friends. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the matches.